For centuries, the British royal family has carefully protected an image, one of loyalty, duty, and tradition. A family above scandal, a symbol of stability in a changing world. But behind palace walls, away from the cameras and the crowds, there's another story. One filled with secrecy, betrayal, and relationships the public was never meant to fully understand. Because the truth is, royal affairs didn't just happen. They shaped history. From kings who ruled empires to princes raised in the spotlight, the pattern repeats itself. Public perfection, private chaos. And once you start looking closely, you begin to realize something unsettling. This wasn't the exception. It was the rule. It begins long before the modern royal family, back when power meant absolute control, and marriage was rarely about love. Take King Charles II, a king known as much for his charm as for his scandals. Officially, he was married to Catherine of Braganza. Unofficially, he had a string of mistresses so influential they practically became part of the court. One of them, Barbara Villiers, wasn't just a secret lover, she was a political force. Charles openly acknowledged several of his illegitimate children, giving them titles and power. In a time when reputation meant everything, he didn't even try to hide it. The message was clear. The crown made its own rules. But not all affairs were so openly accepted. Fast forward to the 19th century, and the monarchy had changed. Appearances mattered more. Scandals had to be controlled. Enter Edward VII, known as Bertie before he became king. As Prince of Wales, he lived a double life. Publicly a future monarch, privately a man deeply involved in multiple affairs. His most famous relationship was Alice Keppel, a woman so close to him that even his wife was said to tolerate her presence. And here's where history gets strange. Alice Keppel would later become the great-grandmother of Camilla, the woman who would one day be at the center of one of the most famous royal affairs of all time, almost like history repeating itself. By the 20th century, the stakes were even higher. The monarchy was no longer just a symbol of power, it was a global brand. One of the most dramatic came with Edward VIII. Unlike the kings before him, his story wasn't just about an affair hidden behind palace doors. It was about a relationship so powerful, it brought down a crown. Before he became king, Edward was deeply involved with Wallis Simpson, an American woman who was not only a commoner, but also twice divorced. For the royal establishment, this was unacceptable. The head of the Church of England could not marry a divorced woman with living ex-husbands. But Edward didn't walk away. Even as pressure mounted from the government, the church, and his own family, he remained committed to her. The relationship wasn't just personal, it became a national crisis. Behind closed doors, officials feared what it would mean for the monarchy if the king openly defied centuries of tradition. And then, in 1936, he made a decision no one expected. He abdicated the throne. In a radio broadcast heard around the world, he declared that he could not carry the burden of kingship without the help and support of the woman I love. It was one of the most shocking moments in royal history, a king choosing love over power. But even this story isn't as simple as it seems. Rumors and reports have long suggested their relationship was more complicated than the fairy tale it appeared to be. Some historians believe Wallis held an unusual level of influence over Edward, while others argue the monarchy used her as a convenient explanation for a king they already saw as unfit. Either way, the result was the same. A crown lost because of a relationship that refused to stay hidden. And yet, even after a scandal of that magnitude, history repeated itself, just in a quieter, more controlled way. Enter Princess Margaret, the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth II. If Edward's story was explosive, Margaret's was something different, more subtle, but just as revealing. In the 1950s, she fell deeply in love with Peter Townsend, a divorced man and former royal equerry. Once again, the same problem emerged. The rules of the monarchy didn't allow it. This time, there was no abdication. There was pressure. Margaret was given a choice: marry Townsend and give up her royal status, or stay within the system and let the relationship go. Unlike Edward, she chose duty. In a public statement, she announced she would not marry him, citing her responsibilities to the Commonwealth and the Church. But the story didn't end there. Years later, after her marriage to Anthony Armstrong Jones, rumors of affairs began to follow her. Her relationship with Roddy Llewellyn became one of the most talked-about royal scandals of the time. Photographs, headlines, and public judgment all crashing into her private life. For the first time in the modern era, the public wasn't just hearing whispers, they were seeing it. Margaret's life revealed something the monarchy had tried to hide for generations, that even those born into privilege weren't free from the same emotional conflicts as everyone else. Love, restriction, rebellion, and the consequences that followed. And by the time her story faded from the headlines, one thing had become clear. The rules hadn't changed. Only the way the world saw them had. Every mistake, every rumor, every relationship could be exposed instantly, which is exactly what happened with Prince Charles and Princess Diana. To the world, their marriage in 1981 looked like a fairy tale. A young princess, a future king, millions watching. But behind the scenes, the truth was already far more complicated. Because Charles was still in love with someone else. Camilla wasn't just part of his past, she remained part of his present. Their relationship continued during his marriage to Diana, hidden at first, then whispered about, and eventually impossible to ignore. But this wasn't just one affair, it became a cycle. As Charles grew closer to Camilla, Diana found herself isolated, trapped in a system she didn't fully understand. And over time, she too sought comfort elsewhere. Her own relationships, real, rumored, and heavily scrutinized, became part of the story. What the public was seeing wasn't just a broken marriage, it was the collapse of the royal illusion. By the early 1990s, everything began to unravel. Secret phone calls were leaked, private conversations became public scandals. The most famous of them all, the Camillagate tape, revealed just how close Charles and Camilla really were. The future King of England, caught in one of the most personal scandals imaginable. And suddenly, the royal family couldn't hide it anymore. The fairy tale was over. Charles and Diana separated, then divorced. The monarchy faced one of the biggest crises in its modern history. Public trust dropped. The image of perfection was shattered. And then, in 1997, everything changed again. Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris, and the world stopped. In that moment, the story of affairs, scandals, and broken relationships became something else entirely, something heavier. The public grief wasn't just about her death, it was about everything that led up to it. The feeling that she had been alone, that she had been failed, and that the system designed to protect the royal family hadn't protected her at all. In the years that followed, something unexpected happened. The story didn't end. Instead, it slowly rewrote itself. Prince Charles and Camilla eventually married in 2005. The relationship that once caused outrage became, over time, accepted, even normalized. The same pattern that existed centuries earlier had come full circle. But the question remains, why does this keep happening? Some say it's the pressure, a life where marriages are arranged by duty, not always by love. A system where image matters more than reality, where emotions are controlled, managed, sometimes ignored. Others believe it's simpler than that. Power. Because throughout history, power has always changed the rules. It creates distance, it creates secrecy, and sometimes it creates the belief that consequences don't apply in the same way. From King Charles II to Edward VII, from Prince Charles to the modern royal family, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Different centuries, different people, same story. But maybe the most surprising part isn't the affairs themselves, it's how they were handled. Hidden when possible, denied when necessary, and when the truth finally came out, reshaped into something the public could accept. Because the monarchy has never just been about what happens, it's about what people believe happened. And that's where the real power lies.
So when you look at the history of royal affairs, you're not just looking at relationships, you're looking at a system designed to survive them, no matter the cost.